Let's wait for all to join for a couple more minutes, then we can start our webinar. I think we can start, and as the attendees come, they will be joining to our webinar. So I'd like to start with greeting everyone. First of all, welcome to today's webinar. This is Emine, Head of Sales in VRLab Academy. And today we are here with Sinem Arslan Mancar. She's a biology lecturer at Reading College in the UK, which is part of Activate Learning. More than 9 years of experience in teaching in IBDP, GCSE, BTEC, and access to higher education have given her a wide range of experiences. So she has completed a master's in measurement and evaluation, in addition to a biology honors degree. She also designs online teaching and learning materials for a variety of academic courses, and she's also the author of 2 books. So please feel free to write if you have any questions during the presentation. I'll be directing your questions to Sinem at the end of the presentation. And now I give the floor to Ms. Mancar.
Thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I have been teaching biology for 9 years. I'm trying to still learning different specifications such as International Baccalaureate, GCSEs, A-levels, BTECs, and hopefully next year we will be learning T-levels as well. So the main aim of today, I just want to introduce UK education system, and then I will share my experiences with virtual reality labs. I'm not an expert, and I'm just a teacher, and then I'm trying to implement digital tools and virtual labs in my education, in my science teaching. So that's the main aim of today. As I said, I want to introduce the UK education system, and then I will share my experiences. But before we start, I want to explain the differences between England, Great Britain, and United Kingdom, because it's a big source of confusion here. Even if you live here, still it's a big source of confusion. And then believe me, it's common among the locals. So my focus group is today, United Kingdom is formed of 4 constituted countries: Scotland, England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. As we have 4 different countries here, we have 4 different governments, so obviously we need to have 4 different education systems. Of course, these are so similar to each other, but there are some minor differences between them. As I said, as we have 4 different governments on the 4 different systems, even if we have the GCSE and A-levels, we have different exam boards and different awarding bodies and regulators here. So in this education system, the first thing to know is that from the age of 5 to 16, education in the United Kingdom is compulsory. So actually 4 in Northern Ireland, as I said, we have some minor differences. So a child must complete primary school and then secondary school. From age of 16, they have three options in front of them. The first option, they can stay in full-time education. Another option, they can stay in part-time education. They can do some volunteering activities or some trainings. They can do apprenticeships as well. So it means we have three options here. The first option, full-time education. The second one, start an apprenticeship program. And the last option can be part-time education with volunteering activities, or they can do some trainings. So here I want to show you some of the terms. You will see public schools and state schools. You will also see independent schools, international schools. You know, in UK and America, we can use the same terms in a different way. So what Americans call private schools, I call public schools in the UK. What Americans call public schools, I call state schools in the UK. As you can see on this diagram, you will see independent and international schools. It means as a learner, you have lots of opportunities. You will choose the best one for you. You will choose the best option, depends on your future plan. The last option can be the homeschool or collective homeschool. Sounds like not an ideal, but believe me, sometimes it's so ideal. It's the best option for some of our learners. Some of the learners can have learning disabilities or physical disabilities, and in this case, homeschool is the best option for them. So on this part, the further education part and the third stage of the education in the UK, and we have three options here, and they can do sixth form college or further education college. So it means after GCSE, if they are planning to continue the education, so we have three options here: sixth form college, and then the further education college. Further education covers a wider curriculum, and it has been offering different courses, both academical and vocational as well. So as the academic part, we have A-levels and international baccalaureate programs. For vocational courses, we have BTECs, and T-level is much more popular nowadays. We are talking about T-levels here, and I believe within 2 years, BTEC will be withdrawn, and then we will continue with T-levels. So it's absolutely depends on you. You know, it's up to you. It depends on learner's future plan. The sixth form, they're attached to the secondary school. It means, you know, the learner will stay in the same school, same friends, same teachers. So because it's attached to the secondary school, it's the extension of secondary education. The second option can be sixth form college. So they will have new friends, new teachers, and then they will have more independence as well. Further education college, and so, for example, our college, Reading College, we have been offering both academic and vocational qualifications here. So it means we have GCSEs, A-levels, BTECs, T-levels, as the academic and vocational. We have also some apprenticeship programs. We have technical qualifications such as plumbing, ceramic, you know, art and culture. So as you can see, we have lots of options here, and learners will choose the best one for them. So here they will see more independence, more, you know, the campus life. It's a, you know, it's a really good transition from secondary education to higher education. So because you will see both young learners and also adults as well. So for GCSE, so the big part of the education system, and also it's the mandatory part of the education system. So wherever you go, everybody will ask you if you have GCSE Maths and English. These two core subjects are so important in the education system because we are trying to improve their math skills, and also they need to know their native language really well. And sometimes, you know, we have some learners outside the UK, still we are asking if they have GCSE English and Maths, because it's a really important entry requirement for colleges and also universities as well. So they will have GCSE Maths and English. And again, depends on the learner plan. We can offer more than 60 different subjects for GCSE. So it means they will do Maths and English. If they're planning to become a scientist, or if they are planning to study science-related subject, they can do GCSE Science. If they are planning to do social sciences, they can continue with GCSE humanities. These are just some examples. So it depends on the college type, depends on the college. Just you will go there and then see the options, and then you can choose the best option for you. Do other countries do GCSEs, or how many countries have GCSE option? So normally we have GCSE, this is the first part. We have also international GCSE. If you go back to GCSE, I know Australia, Canada, and India, they have been offering GCSE. And for IGCSE, it's the international version of GCSE. If you have any learners, and because it has been designed for international learners who don't speak English as a first language, it was developed by Cambridge International Examination. So the Cambridge discovered and developed this IGCSE, but still we have lots of options: Pearson, Edexcel, AQA. Yeah, maybe from 20 years ago we just had Cambridge option, but now we have more than this. So you can complete GCSE or IGCSE and then continue with A levels. So GCSE is the mandatory part of the education. After this, you can continue with academical qualifications or vocational qualifications. So for academical qualifications, we have A levels or IB. For vocational qualifications, we have BTEC, T levels, NVQs, or any kind of technical skills here. So for GCSE, as I said, 2 subjects are really important, and then you can choose any of them. We have a similar system with A levels. So we don't have any specific rule here. But again, depends on your future plan. If you want to study engineering, you can have A-level science-related subject, A-level physics, A-level biology, A-level, technical skills. And some of the colleges can offer different subject combinations. And again, you need to join the open event, you need to see all the opportunities, and then you can choose the best option for you. And I want to show you the next slide with the exam boards. But before, I just want to introduce higher and university postgraduate in brief. So again, you finish GCSE, continue with A-level, and then you can do university or apprenticeship. And then if you're planning to become an academician, if you want to be expert on your specific area, you can do master's or doctorate in this education system. So here, it's absolutely up to you. It's an optional. You can go to uni, you can do apprenticeship, you can do training activities, or you can look for a job. So university education is not mandatory. If you really want to study higher education, you should go and complete the higher education here. And for further education for A levels, again, as I said, it's not mandatory. You can choose to be there, and then you can complete the qualification, and then you can go to uni. Here, I just want to remind you, if you are planning to go to uni, you can do academical or vocational qualification. Both are keys to open the uni life. When we look at the exam board here, you will see AQA, OCR, Edexcel, Pearson, SQA. So these are all exam boards. So what does this mean for us? If you remember the ecological hierarchy in biology, as a biology teacher, I want to go from this part. Remember the triangle. On the top of this, we have Department for Education in England. We have the same version in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. And then next, we have regulators. We have Ofqual in England, SQA in Scotland, and Northern Ireland Executive in Northern Ireland. And then next, we have exam boards. And then on the top of and the bottom of this chart, we have schools and colleges. So it means as a teacher, it's our part. Department for Education sets the rule. They can measure the school performance. And then next, regulators, as I said, Ofqual, SQA, they will decide which exam board will teach which course. And then next, we have teachers, schools, colleges, and then we will do everything for our learners. So what's the main difference between these examples? We have lots, but the main difference is the subject content. So I can do AQA biology, you can do OCR biology. We will see different content. Of course, they are so similar to each other. When you look at the big picture, biology is biology, you will see human physiology, cell biology, and plant physiology as well. But the main difference between them, the combination of the units, the combination of the content. How we will assess, both GCSE and A-levels, we have exams. When you take the exam, you will see short answer question, long answer question, multiple choice questions, practical based question is the most important one, because I cannot imagine the science without the practical, and then graph based questions. So these are all the elements of the exam. So it means you will have exam and also practical as well. Required practical activities, as I said, the practical activities, lab work, experiments, these are the key elements of the science teaching. Here in the UK, we are trying to teach how to think independently and how they can use some of the certain materials before they go to uni or apprenticeships. We are trying to think scientifically. We are trying to teach them how to become a scientific literate. So it means we are trying to use science in our life. Required practical activities are not mandatory for GCSEs, but they have to take all of them. It's not officially mandatory, but they have to take all these practicals before the graduation, because they will see practical-based questions when they take the exam. Of course, it will be a big advantage because they will carry out the investigation first and they will see the questions based on the data. So they will learn how to make data analysis. When they get the question, they can complete the question in an easy way. But for A-levels, required practical activities are mandatory. They must complete some of the certain practicals before the graduation. And then they have a lab book, they need to record the data, they need to analyze these data as well, and teachers will give them a feedback, they will improve their findings. So it's a real kind of, the university practice. Science curriculum of the UK. So we have 3 big elements here. We are trying to teach them how to think scientifically, how to understand concept and how to analyze this concept in a scientific way. We are trying to teach them to understand the nature, process, methods of science. Remember your school time, and also you can think how to write a scientific report from background information to bibliography. So the first we need to do background research, make an observation, formulate hypothesis, analyze, you can carry out the investigation, analyze the result. Just think about all the steps of scientific method. So that's why personally, this is my big interest, scientific literacy. So as you can see here, between required practical activities, the aim of these activities, and aim of science curriculum in the UK. So there is a perfect match between them. So it's the complementary of the science curriculum. So we are trying to have more scientific literate learners here. Learner profiles has been changing, not just due to the COVID. I'm just thinking the previous generation, next generation, our current generation now, these are completely different from each other. And I know in the UK and EU countries, we have 2 different action plans here. We have the essential digital skills in the UK, and I know EU countries has been using digital education action plan. So both are long-time strategic vision to use the digital skills in science education. So it means the main idea of this, the main purpose of these 2 action plans, how we can use digital tools in science education. So all of us, we have same purposes in the education. We are trying to teach them we are trying to learn them how to use digital skills in science education. So here we should remember the term digital literacy. So American Psychology of Association, maybe you know this organization, they introduced information literacy around 1965. So first they introduced information literacy. So what does this mean? We need to analyze the information, we need to synthesize this information, and we should use this information to find a solution to their problems. So we have two branches. On the top of this chart, we have information literacy, and then we have scientific literacy and digital literacy. So these two elements are so complementary now, especially after COVID. You know, it forced us to use digital tools more than normal. We are trying to use everything, you know, the Google documents, Microsoft documents, or just, you know, we always use presentation, but we are trying to modify them based on the learner needs. Because remember those times, I don't want to remind the COVID times, but if you can remember your online sessions over the pandemic, okay, we have presentations, but we need to redesign everything. Because face-to-face education, maybe you can complete 3 big objectives, but if you're running online sessions, maybe you just finish just one of them. Depends on your learner profile, depends on your subject. You know, you need to adapt your presentation. You can change your digital tools based on your learner needs. So we can use documents, slides, Excel, or any kind of tools. But from my point of view, virtual reality is the best one. So here we have a poll, and Ipek, can we please release the poll? I just want to ask you, how are you feeling the use of, you know, the virtual reality? And how familiar are you? And are you feeling, can you use this in a confident way or not? How are you feeling? I just want to give you time. Please take your time. Because all of us, we are talking about virtual reality, virtual labs, but how can you describe yourself and how familiar you are with the concept of virtual reality? Slightly familiar mode. Okay, so all of us, we have an idea about how to use virtual reality in general, but just in 5 minutes, I will be sharing my experiences with virtual reality. I hope it will give you an idea more than normal. Even if we are trying to use traditional techniques, of course, theoretical teaching is the major part of the teaching, because learners still need us. Maybe after 10 years or 20 years, I don't know what will happen to teachers, but at least for now, they still need us. So we should use this in a better way. Even if we use the theoretical teaching, traditional teaching, so we should use technology. Okay, we have different types of digital tools, but I just want to say why VR is the best one for our learners. As a teacher, my main purpose to make my lessons more attractive. Especially science teaching is not the easy one, because some of the learners are not big fan of biology or physics. Sometimes I'm telling them, okay, we are learning circulatory system. I'm trying to teach them how hemoglobin binds with oxygen. I can show them YouTube videos. There are lots of YouTube videos. That's fine, but it's not enough. So thanks to virtual reality, they can wear the headset and then they will have a real life simulation I think that's amazing. So because just you will have the headset, you will be the part of it. So you can feel it, just you will see the red blood cells, the hemoglobin in it, and then you will see the binding mechanism as well. So just try to have much more fun. Because it's not just a game, but here we are trying to make our lessons more inspirational, because we are trying to improve their imagination. So when I say, okay, just imagine, just visualize the information in your mind, it's not a real stuff. But with virtual reality labs, they can see everything in their minds, because it's an immersive environment. They will be able to see everything. And then the same thing is for physics. And maybe you will teach them, the solar system, galaxies, and then I will share one of the case study related with this. And it will be great to see galaxies and make a connection between them. So you can use virtual lab in school and also at home. So what does this mean? Because as this is the software, they can use the same thing in school and they can make a practice at home as well. So we will improve their learning. So we will have them two options. You can do in college, in school, or it's just they will repeat the practical over and over again, and then they will analyze all the information, and so they will achieve all these good grades. And then they will improve communication and collaboration skills. So what does this mean? They can make a teamwork. One of them wear the headset, and then just we have a lab assistant. They will hear and follow the guidance, and the others can take notes, because it's a good teamwork, it's a collaborative work. Headset is one of the options. They can also use the computer keyboard, and it's another option. We don't need to have the headset, just they can use the computer keyboard and then complete the practical confidently. So we will try to increase engagement. We will try to have more motivation, because these learners, as a teacher, we're always complaining about their social media accounts. And if you can try to provide better technology, better digital tool, you don't need to complain about anything, because we will give them a better technology. We can keep them busy with science, and then we don't need to worry about anything. I want to show you one of the case studies, the benefits of virtual reality in education. When you check the literature review, you will be able to see lots of case studies. These quotes from teachers and learners. So as you can see on these quotes, and they found the sessions so inspirational, and we will try to provide them, normally they cannot see solar system, of course, it's not able to see them. And some of the learners, they don't have any option to go to some of the research centers as well. But if you have an internet, if you have VR Lab, so you will be able to see some interesting and attractive lesson. And because just we are trying to increase their interest for our lessons. If they don't like physics, you can use this option to make your lessons more attractive. They don't need to be a big fan of your lesson, but at least they will love physics, and then they will try to their best. Another case study, impact of virtual reality used on the teaching and learning of vectors. I try to choose my case studies from physics because, it's not the easy one. So learners really like biology and chemistry, but they struggle with physics because natural physics is not easy personally. So I never good at physics. So that's why I try to choose some of the extreme examples here. If you look at the statements, these statements are from questionnaire, and researchers ask the learners, how did you find virtual lab experience? How did you find VR learning? And if you look at the right side, all answers are so close to the positive. So if you can see the link on this slide, and you can see more information about this case study. But this is my understanding. Our learners found really, amazed, and they found really useful for their learning, because this generation is completely different from us. We need to understand their needs and implement digital tools, virtual reality in our lessons. And I have a quick poll here, and if you can release the poll question. I'm wondering, have you ever tested VR in your school? Have you got any kind of virtual reality lab experience?
Almost tied with both of the polls. That's interesting. Let's end it and share the results.
Yeah, I can see the results now.
Majority says they had.
Okay, the percentage is amazing. Even if it's a kind of new technology, it's good to try. And also, I just want to share my experiences with VR Lab Academy. As a teacher, the first thing is curriculum compatibility. So what does this mean for me? If you're working in independent or international schools, if your learners are planning to go outside, so I want to show you here, if you can look at the curriculum alignments. So this practical is designed for GCSE learners or AP learners. It's also compatible with AS, A-levels, and also IB, AP, maybe NGSS. So it depends on your curriculum type. When you get the system, you will be able to see curriculum alignments. I think that's so important because it's important for university entry requirements. It's good to know before their application. I'm finding really useful. And the second important point for me, if your learners have learning difficulties, sometimes anxiety, they don't want to stay in lab, they don't want to stay in a big groups. And again, thanks to VR Lab, just they will wear the headsets, or they can just use their own computer yourself, and then they can run the practical, and you can give them a safe learning environment. The main aim of the teachers, we are trying to manage the classroom really well, especially in lab. We need to be more careful than normal. So again, VR Lab Academy will give us this opportunity because we don't need to use any harsh chemicals. Maybe you can think, okay, real life simulation, real experiments are much more important than virtual labs. But believe me, but personally, some of the practicals are so dangerous. I don't want to use any chemicals. So when you look at the material data safety sheet, you can pour the chemical into the sink because it's not really harsh chemical. But personally, I'm not finding right. So that's why I don't want to use this option. In addition, instead of this, I can do virtual version of the same practical. So I'm not telling you it will be the alternative teaching technique. It can be complementary. So again, it's up to you. You can use as the main part of your teaching. You can use it as a complementary part of your teaching. So you can have both, the hands-on lab, and also you can use virtual lab option as well, because it's a green alternative. You don't need to use any harsh chemicals. You don't need to use any organism. Normally we can use Daphnia in biology, it's the common example, but still I don't want to use them very much. So it will be great if you hesitate to use organisms in your classes. And cost effective, sometimes, you don't have any budget to buy new equipments. For example, for biology, for PCR, gel electrophoresis, we need to buy some of the certain equipments. And also we can run demonstration practical rather than individual practical. But again, it's a big advantage of the virtual lab academy. We can use virtual experiments. Data tracking, as a teacher, this is the most important part for me, because I will be able to see which learners complete the practical, and I will be able to see their data and which kind of data they obtain. Because when you get the lab manual, I want to show you here. When you get the system, you will have this kind of lab manual. So you will see the name of the experiments, purpose of this experiment, and again, compatibility of the curriculum. A little bit of theory as a teacher. This is my main job. I will teach the theory, they will do the rest. Conclusion and discussion part, and then they will have post-lab evaluation. So I hope you will see the question, and at the end of each question, we have some keywords. Discuss, research, explain, identify, analyze. These are all the keywords when they get the exam. So sometimes I need to explain to my learners. When you get the exam, if they have explain, you will provide this kind of answer. If you have discuss, you need to provide this kind of answer, because depends on their explanations, they will get the grade. So again, it's a big alternative for me. And also, you don't need to prepare anything, because as a teacher, you can say, I have a huge workload. I don't have any time to learn this system. I don't have any time to prepare lab manual. You don't need to do anything. Just maybe 1 or 2 practice. You will be an expert. Believe me, it doesn't take a long time to learn this system. And also, even if it takes a long time, as a teacher, we need to be part of it. If we are not happy with the usage of technology now, we need to be part of it, because we are shaping the future for our learners. If you don't use it today, tomorrow will be too late. So that's why, please take an action and just try to encourage yourself to use virtual labs. And the last part, I just want to add data analysis. As I said, here in the UK, we are trying to have more scientific literate learners. They need to use science to find a solution to daily problems. So it means if we can do data analysis right, we will find a solution to our problems here. So that's why it's so important for me. As I said, you can use virtual labs as an alternative or complementary, depends on your needs. So these are all my experiences, and I'm sure you have different experiences with virtual lab. I'm still learning. I'm not an expert. There's a long way to go. But today, I just want to introduce UK education system in short. I just want to familiarize you with GCSE and A-levels. And then I just want to share my experiences with virtual lab. I think that's it for me. And I will pass it on to Ipek for now.
Thank you. Thank you a lot for this great presentation, Sina. Now I would like to show some examples from our product. I am Ipek, product manager in VR Lab Academy. And let me share my screen. Can you, okay. So I choose 2 experiments. We were just going to see the previews from those 2. They are aligning with GCSE and A-level curriculums. And first one is from chemistry laboratory, VR Lab chemistry laboratory, and the second one is from biology. Let's shortly see those. And now we are in the virtual laboratory. Here we have all the equipments in a real laboratory. And also we have the lab assistant, Amy, as you see in the left part. And she is helping students interacting with them in the virtual environment. students here can choose different chemicals, different samples, and they can also choose to do the experiment with different values, different sample size, different milliliters, and they use the micropipette, for example, and they also have to change the types of the tips of the micropipette, because it's just in a real lab. We also want them to learn the skills, not just the concept. And when they pour the chemicals, this is an experiment about chemical equilibrium. They can observe the status of the chemical equilibrium in different samples that they choose and that they prepare. And they can record their observation to a lab manual, just in a real lab. This is the VR Lab tablet. They are recording their observations, their collected data, and they can test their hypothesis from here. Also, when they click the save data, they are going to save the answer sheets, the sample answer sheets created by the systems. And this will let them to have a self-reflective learning, that they can compare their answers with the answer sheet, and they can practice the lab as much as they want, like multiple times, because this is the virtual and they don't have any limits here. Let's see the biology laboratory. This is an experiment about mitosis, and here students can do the procedure in just in a real lab. For example, here the cover slips are in the 45-degree, because this is important to see a clear image in the microscope. Then they have to do the squashing to again see a clear image in the microscope. They're not just only learning the concept, but also they are practicing these skills. So if they go to a real lab after this, they will be more comfortable. They will already knowing the procedure. And then they will see it in the microscope, choose from different magnifications. This image represents the image without any dye, so it's colorless. And if they choose to add a dye in the procedure, then they will see it in blue if they choose this one, and they can also see it in other colors. So they can really in virtual laboratory, they can have these options. They can try each of those, but in real laboratory, we don't have time for that. So it's hard. Also, a clear observation here lets students to count. In virtual reality, you can really count the number of cells, which cell in which phase, and they can differentiate those and then make calculations according to their observations again. As Sinem said, this really helped them to understand the scientific process, and then they record their values in the VR Lab tablet again, and they will see their responding answers to their data in the answer sheet, just like that. This was a very short preview from our product. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you again.
Thanks a lot, İpek. And I'd like to thank Sinem for the presentation too, sharing her personal experiences with us on how to approach virtual reality teaching tools. And I can personally say this, that was very enlightening. And we have attendees from many different countries and backgrounds right now. So I believe they also agree with me. And now I'd like to continue with the questions in the Q&A section. So please feel free to share your questions there. I will be directing them to Sinem. We already have one. So it says, do you think virtual reality labs become standard rather than physical labs in GCSE and or A-level?
As I said, I don't want to say it will be the perfect alternative. Personally, at least for now, I believe it's just the complementary. And because, you know, at least for now, maybe next 10 or 20 years, we cannot say we will lose physical labs, just we will continue with the virtual labs. I believe, at least for now, there is no way to have virtual labs fully. But as I say, why I'm telling complementary, because I know some of the schools, they have been offering courses fully online. So there's no way to have a physical lab. But if they use virtual labs, they can complete the theoretical and also the lab part as well. That's why I just want to support this idea for now. But I don't know what will happen to this 10 or 20 years later.
Yeah. Another question is that what would be the most advantageous feature of a virtual lab for you? Is it data tracking, answer keys, etc.?
So for me, from my point of view, curriculum compatibility is the first one, because if you consider all different countries, all education system, it's good to know what you are doing, because learners are planning to go study outside. They don't want to stay there, the hometown, home countries. So that's why I'm thinking this is the most important part.
One other question is that how often do you encounter technical issues in the virtual labs?
So, just think your physical experiences, physical labs. You can still have some of the limitations, some problems when you're running the practical. And as we don't need special equipments, just maybe headset. So if you have any problems, you can continue with just the computer, because you can use the computer keyboard to carry out the investigation, these virtual labs. So there's no problem to run these sessions.
Exactly. There's always an adaptation part that you need to be going through. But I also do believe that technical issues, if there are any with any of the new and upcoming technology, it will be needing some time, but it's just going so fast right now. So I believe that it will be really smooth transition to that.
Yeah, and also we need to give it a chance. We should try it, and just even if we have some problems, we shouldn't give up. Okay, we cannot say virtual lab is not good. We need to give up some. Just give it a chance and try it, and let's see.
Definitely. One other question is that what is your opinion on measurement / assessment of students in virtual labs then? That's the question, maybe.
So again, this is my experience. So that's why I cannot say anything more than this. But they found it really helpful, because it's just the massive learning environment. And then, as I said, you can make your lessons more inspirational if you want to keep their attention on your subject, and you can use this.
And do you think the assessment afterwards, the experiment is harder? It's more difficult for the teacher with the virtual labs or with physical labs?
So I think there's no huge difference between them, because just imagine you are running physical lab, and then you can give them a worksheet or question paper at the end of your practical. You can do the same thing with VR Lab Academy option, because we will have post lab question or evaluation question. So I think that's really, really nice, because you don't need to prepare anything. If you have a physical or face-to-face or the in-class in lab option, you need to prepare pre-lab and post-lab questions. But if you use this system, you will get the questions automatically. So you don't need to produce any extra thing. So, but if you are asking the assessment to see the real assessment at the end of the process, there's no differences between them. Because first option, the physical one, they can carry out the investigation, they will analyze the data, collect it, they will do the same thing with virtual labs. So that's why there's no difference between them.
One other question, for now, this is the last question, if there are not any others. How can virtual laboratories be utilized to facilitate collaboration and professional development opportunities for STEM teachers? Because there are different geographical locations in different schools in different countries.
as again, you can adapt everything depends on your needs. So maybe just I can give my example. So I'm teaching BTech, and my learners come from different backgrounds. They can be their first year in the UK, or maybe they are just their hometown. I don't know. So I need to differentiate my teaching. I need to differentiate the content. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they will need to know the same practical. Even if they have different backgrounds, even if they have different attention to course, they must complete the practical. And also it will give me an opportunity to make a collaborative work. So depends on your classroom size. If you have a big size, so you can make them a group, or they can work in pairs, they can collect the data. At the end of it, they can share their findings, they can share the results, they can do peer assessment as well. So that's why I'm thinking you can facilitate your practicals in this way. Again, just try to think your practicals, the physical practical hands-on teaching. You need to do the same thing. You need to put the same effort to carry out your investigation in the lab. You will have a similar effort if you are planning to carry out virtual lab. Depends on your subject, depends on your teaching style and your country, your needs. You need to design everything around your needs.
Thank you, Sam. I think that's all the questions. I'm just waiting for a couple more seconds. Yes, I think that's all. And again, I'd like to thank all of our participants for joining us today. I would also like to thank Sinem taking the time and sharing her experiences on such an exciting topic. Our webinar series will continue in the coming months with curriculum-specific presentations. So you can follow us on our social media accounts to stay informed and register for our free webinars. We'll be happy if you answer the survey that will appear when the webinar is over. So your feedback is very important to us. And I hope we see you all in the next webinar in the upcoming months.
Thank you. Thank you again. Thank you.